Hello everybody, my name is Matthew from PSPDFKit. I'm product manager here. Thanks very much for coming to our webinar today. We have some exciting features to be able to show you. We're just waiting for a few more people to come online. Basically, we'd like to take some questions from you if you have any. That'll be down. There's a button down in the right-hand side. There's a chat icon. If the screen is a little bit narrow, you might not see it. So just widen up the screen a little bit and you can see that chat icon that you can click to go through for any questions. And we're just going to basically start this webinar by having a walkthrough of the features that we're going through today, which includes Office file support in Web Standalone. So this is a great feature. PDF to PDFA conversion, both in standalone and server-backed. We're going through we've now introduced comments. So we have our comments annotations now in Web Standalone, which were previously only available in server-backed. And we have password protection and editing permissions now for PDF, both on standalone and on server-backed. The team that's with you, this is myself, Matthew Manderson, product manager. We have Guillermo, one of our web engineers. We have Pavel from product marketing and Kelly, our marketing manager. They're available in chat, so they're going to be able to answer any questions live as we're just going through this first part of the presentation. And then we'll have room for questions and answers afterwards. We'll go through your parts. Our first is the Office file support in standalone. This is a new feature that basically allows customers of Web Standalone, your end users, to be able to open up Office documents in the PDF straight into the PSPDFKit viewer. Then you can take advantage of the normal features that are within. And this has been, I know, waiting for some time for a lot of you out there. Basically, we've built a proprietary GDPicture.net capability, and that's been running for many years now under GDPicture's license. And we finally brought that into PSPDFKit so that it works natively from the viewer. You just simply go open, or the same with the SDK. You just do open and look for one of the Office files, and it converts directly to PDF for you. This gives you lots of capabilities now, so you can bring normal Office files in and start working with this in your workflow. And the file formats that we have presently are docx, .tx, and docm, PowerPoint files, and Excel files to work through this format. Now I want to take you over to our demo, and we can just see how that works in practice. For those of you who are familiar with our web viewer demo, this is our normal demo. We're in web, and you can search for this basically under Office to be able to find it, Office document. And on the left, we have basically 3 examples of the different formats that we can do. Automatically, it's doing this conversion. It does take a little while to convert some documents, and we just give that a chance to convert. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe I just need to refresh that slightly. Normally it's much quicker than this. Okay. Let's try just opening a new document. Okay, that was the first one that came up. Okay, I don't know why there was a bit of a delay there in the beginning, but this is basically the normal speed. It took 1 to 2, maximum 3 seconds. So now this was originally a docx file that you can see from the left-hand side, and it's pretty faithfully rendered coming through. Because we're working with Office documents, for each of these formats. Let me change over to a slides one, just to give an example. We have to be conscious of the licensing for fonts. So what happens is the Microsoft fonts are basically licensed and have some restrictions. So if you have fonts that are not rendering properly, you can supply those fonts to us, and we can use those in the conversion process. One of the great use cases, perhaps, of working with the Office to PDF is that potentially you could also use the content editing directly, which will just sneak a little plugin that we released a little while ago. So for example, here I can use the content editing mode. I can come over to here, do a small correction, click save, and now we have this PDF with some small edits, which is going to help a lot of customers on their use cases. We'll come back to the presentation. Let's have a look. If you have any questions at all about that Office conversion, pop that into the chat. We're going to try and answer some of those questions in real time as we go along, and we'll pick up some more towards the end as we go through. The next feature we want to look at is the PDF to PDFA conversion. PDFA is being heavily requested, particularly for archiving purposes, and until now we haven't had that capability, but now we have it for basically all the levels: PDFA 1, 2, 3, 4, and their various parts. And this basically gives your documents compliance with a number of compliance levels, for example, with ISO and the Vera PDF compliant documents. Again, if we go through our web viewer, we can bring this up. You can search for PDF, PDFA, bring that in, and you have these documents that are here. You have the option to set the PDFA conformance level. At the moment, we have this in a drop-down, but normally, probably in your use case, you'd have a very particular PDFA level that you need this conform to. So you would just set that and define that on your export. But we've done it here in a drop-down for you. So if we pick, for example, PDFA 2, over in the top right-hand corner now, we'll just click the download button just to flatten this. That's now downloaded here. What I'm going to do is go across to a validator for you. Choose our file, downloads, converted, open. And again, there we go. So this happens to be our own product which does validation, but it works the same with the other validations. And here we shows the conformance level there is PDFA 2. Our next feature that we want to showcase today is the bringing comments to standalone. This comment feature basically allows, previously we used to have an annotation called notes. We still have that. The plan is to basically phase that out and replace it with this new annotation for comments, because the comments one allows us to have threaded replies afterwards. So you'll be able to initiate a comment, and then your end users will be able to do replies to that. On standalone, on Web Server-Backed, we already have an instant capability, so this is already available. So the end users are able to comment between each other, but we're finally bringing this now to standalone and allowing this kind of offline version of threaded comments through here. Basically, the challenge was to make them compatible across the other PDF readers, which we have now. And this allows the whole discussion to happen. Instead of people putting in several note annotations, now they can just have the whole conversation in one comment annotation, which is great. And there's an extra feature which we released, which is basically mentions. So this allows you to supply the SDK with a list of users, and then they can start to use the @ sign and @ mention each of those users that you've supplied to us in that format. And we'll go through that demonstration for there, please. So here, for example, I'm just double checking we're on Web Standalone, switching up here in the demo. Now, a normal demo PDF that we use, up in the toolbar, we have a new icon. Previously, it was this icon, which was the note annotation, but now we've added this additional icon presently, which is the comments icon, and that allows you to place a comment somewhere on the document. It looks slightly different, so it's easy to visualize, and we can say this is Matthew's comment. Save, and immediately you see this option to have replies. So if somebody else was to open up this document with their own username, they could come in and reply to this particular comment. I'm going to do my new reply now. This threaded response going through. Here we have some control over this. We can go back in and edit a particular comment. We can delete the comment, and we can set the comment as anonymous. Again, another feature, which basically means that other people don't get to see they don't get to see that it was you that made that comment. This is like here on this private one. But the feature I wanted to show you again here was, let's ping, doing that. I'm not sure why that's not coming up. Okay, that's supposed to work. Maybe there's something. Let's have a look. Actually, not sure why that's not working on there. Sorry about that, everybody. So what we do have is a quick video just to show that. It might be because we haven't enabled something on the actual users. We have a quick video we can just take you through to show you some of these features, where we set the name of the person that you're using this PDF as. Normally a typical user, they might be logged in. They can go into the comment thread and hit their replies. There is inline rich text now, whereas previously it was just plain text. Now we have the rich text. Here's a great feature. You can select the text using one of the toolbar actions. You can select it and add a comment directly to highlighted text. There we have the mentions. You supply that list of users, their avatars, and a little bit of extra information. So you have a rich list of those. When we open that document back up again, you can see that the threaded comments are all in place. And that's it. It's great. The next feature we want to go through is basically taking advantage of the PDF spec permissions and passwords. Typically, we have to start with, we have an open password that's very common. Some personal information like a payslip or a bank statement might get sent to a user, and they have to type in an open password. We now have that where we had that basic functionality before, but now we've basically opened up the feature to the extra permissions. The other password that needs to be set potentially optionally is for the owner password. So this is the person who has control over setting the permissions on that PDF. So if you want to restrict printing of that PDF in high quality, maybe it's some logo or some artwork and you want people to see it but not have access to the high resolution version of it, you can set that permission, but it requires having an owner password set if you don't want other people to be able to change or those permissions that are on there. Basically, this gives you that extra control over how your document is shared amongst end users. And typically these permissions, I'm going to go through basically an example with you on that. You set through the SDK what they're going to be, and I have another link to show you this here. So we don't have any UI capability for this. What we do have is, this is all programmatic at the moment. We're looking to build the UI element of it later, but the full API is available for you to work with directly. So you can set, for example, defaults on the PDF to say that it has certain passwords or certain capabilities on it. If we run through some of the permissions that we have on it presently, we have basically an open password, the PDF owner password. We have these modifications. So we have the annotations and forms, assembly, extracting content, accessibility, filling out the forms. You could disable this, for example, modification, printing high quality, and printing overall. So if we looked at this particular document, which is open, and I was to try to print it, I've now gone into a different application to be able to obviously to print this. So it asks me for the password. So the printing here is enabled. If we move over to the other file, which is basically kind of closed, same password. And now if I go to take the print, it opens up in the Acrobat embedded one, so I have to put the password back in. And now what happens if I go to print this? It's saying, let's have a look, open in desktop. Maybe we have okay. And that's supposed to fix that PDF permission. So this full API is basically available for you to work with to set those extra ones. This is the end of the formal presentation where we just go through and show you those. We now have all three of us available to go through your questions, and we try to answer them with you. Thanks very much. That's great. We have lots of super questions. Thanks very much. So I'm having a look at some of the questions. Can we convert the doc in the background for faster loading? Let's have a look. Hey, Joachim. The answer to that is definitely yes. We can do the loading in the background. The PDF-A is now a new component. So that's basically a new licensable component. Joachim asked the question about email conversion. We have a challenge with email conversion because basically it's HTML conversion, and the problem, we want to be able to support HTML to PDF on the client side. The problem is it requires Chromium on each of the client side devices to be able to handle this. So right now we're not able to, we're technically blocked from being able to release this. We can do this through server side, obviously. So we don't actually have a technical solution for dealing with email, message, MSG, and HTML to come across to PDF just yet, but it's definitely on our roadmap to see if we can find a solution for this. Any more questions? David is typing one. Let's have a look. Can we directly open an image into PSPDFKit? Yes. Sir, thanks very much for that great question. Yes, we already have native image. So basically that image is converted like as a document, not as a PDF. So you can annotate that image directly and then export it, for example, as a PDF. And it works in the same way as the Office files. So far, we have another question on whether the Word files can be converted to PDF. Basically, as a general rule, all the Word files can be converted. We are noticing that some particular Word files are maybe not as we expected, particularly, but mostly this seems to be to do with the fonts. There might be a partial font set that's been embedded. There might be additional glyphs that need to be edited in the PDF, and that's causing us that. So we need to work with you. You need to supply us that PDF, the fonts basically. Because a lot of the fonts we're able to find a very close match, and they're called our fallback fonts. So if you, for example, have a document that's in Arial, we're converting that to Noto, and we have a very wide glyph for this, but we still reference that font as Arial. So if you open up into another viewer and it has Arial, it's able to work with the Arial, they don't render as Arial. So we're trying to create that great compatibility as much as possible. If there's any Word files that you struggle to open, basically speak to us, open a support ticket, because as I said, this tech is in-house, so we can have a look and find what might be causing that issue for your particular file, and we'll get that updated in a patch as quickly as possible for you. There is a recording of this presentation, so everybody will get a link to see that at the end of once we stop the recording. When you take an Office file and you bring it into PSPDFKit, into the viewer or through the SDK, and you make some changes to it, we don't have it basically is converted to a PDF within the viewer. If you download it or save it or print it, it's not going to, it's going to be as a PDF still. It's not going to convert to a docx. We don't have a solution for that. It is on our roadmap, and we're looking to see how we can build that tech potentially at some point in the future. But right now, we don't have a technical solution for that. The permissions for the PDFs, definitely, thanks very much for that question, can be set both on the client side and server side. So you have that option to deal with it programmatically. We're planning to do a UI for the client side at some point. But that's not this. We've settled at the moment just with the API. It's a great question about the details around the fonts. We do have some standard wording on it, and we're actually building up some information at the moment to show how the font, give examples of the fonts usage, so it helps you as a builder to know what you need to do to work with those fonts. And we can kind of give you how to deal with your custom fonts, how to deal with our fallback fonts, how to deal with glyphs. So particularly, for example, if they're non-Latin, then the embedded font range has to be a bit bigger for that. But we do have some very wide full glyphs, fallback fonts to use for most of the sans and sans serif type fonts to help give wider compatibility. Will docx formats containing form elements be picked up? So I think you're talking about recognizing there's a form inside there. We're actually working on right now. The answer is no, but we're working on a prototype to deal with basically templating. So we're very conscious of this to try to think about converting those into acro forms within the PDF. So keep in touch with us and make sure you have a conversation going with us about that. And we can ping you as soon as that's ready. With Salesforce, there's a couple of questions about Salesforce integration. Most of the Web SDK is available with Salesforce. The problem we have I think with Salesforce at the moment is their file size limits for the GDPR WASM file that accompanies it. So we're looking to try to deal with that at this stage. So we don't actually have a short-term solution for you, but we're definitely trying to fix that. They have a very small file size limit of something like five megabytes in total, and we're not able to get the files, the combination of files down to less than that, unfortunately. We're always really excited to hear about your use cases. So if you have like your own development roadmap of how you want our viewer to change over the coming time, then it'd be really awesome if you just reach out to us with a support ticket or something, and explain to us your use cases and what you're looking for and how we could develop that. Because basically we learn from your feedback, and we build that into helping to prioritize the features that we work on next throughout the period. The editing of the text is in the top toolbar somewhere in the middle. It's under the content editing drop down. You can just drop that one. At the moment, the content editing is very basic, but at the moment we are going through, so we can edit basic text. If we have the font available, we keep the font available. If we don't have the font available, unfortunately, it comes back to our default font at this stage. You can supply that font, and we're just working on paragraph detection at the moment for standalone. And so basically, if you keep watching this space, every release we have, we're releasing new capabilities for the content editing at this stage. So stay in touch with us, open up a ticket, we'll add to our list, and we'll keep you posted with changes that we have for our content editing. The comments feature for the PDF viewer, if you're only on standalone, then that's an extra component for comments and replies. If you already have the server-backed license for comments, then that's basically included. There's no extra fee for the comments because we're essentially depreciating the old notes one in favor of the comments. So it's going to be, the comments itself is going to be included in the same component, but the replies itself will be a bit extra. But you get it for both server-backed and for standalone, for the replies element of it. But the plain comments itself, replacing notes, gives you the rich text, it gives you the mentions, it gives you that. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. Joachim, there was a very small, I don't know what the delay was in the beginning, but in our tests, it's typically somewhere between 1 to 3 to 5 seconds. You probably do a few tests yourself, it's somewhere in that region. And we'll find out actually what is the complexity that causes it to have that delay, and then we'll see if we can improve that. Because obviously, if you have end users doing it, there's a small risk that they can fix that. On our roadmap, we do want to improve the loading, that waiting time, to try to give better feedback to the customers, to the end users, what's actually happening with their document, to try to deal with those delays on there. So that's definitely on our roadmap to have a look at. Thanks, Joachim. And just one last point, the web viewer, new UI, we're actually going through initial stages of a redesign for this. So if anybody's interested in having a walkthrough and a preview of that design, again, open up a ticket, get in contact with us, follow up, and we'll add you to an invite list, and we can do a demonstration with you on that new UI redesign. That's awesome. I think I don't get to see you all on the webinar, so if you have any more questions, just throw them in, or just give me a thumbs up and say Thanks very much. The questions are all dealt with. I don't want to miss anybody at all. That's great. Thanks ever so much, everybody. It was a great pleasure to see, and just keep in touch with us. Like I said, try and share your development, and we'll try to keep that all in mind as we go through.